Hi, this is another tutorial on using the Comet visualizations. And this time we're going to look at using the visualization sources a little more directly. Again, this tutorial is available in the tutorial section of Comet. And it's a little more complex than some of the previous tutorials that showed how to use the gadgets themselves, which I encourage you to look at if you haven't already. This one's actually going to incorporate the visualization sources into a Google spreadsheet and show how the same data that drives the gadgets can be used to drive user applications as well. Because it's a little bit more complex, you might want to download the spreadsheet itself from the tutorial, which is available as well. And so you can follow the tutorial and then look at the spreadsheet and make some modifications as well to see how the tool actually works. So what I'm going to do is start with the same weather gadget that we've looked at in some of the previous tutorials. These gadgets allow you to search through particular areas in California and zoom to a location where we have gridded estimations of what the weather parameters were for a particular location. And using that gadget, you can actually chart data, precipitation, for example, or the amount of ETO for a particular region. And if you're interested in using this data in your own application, you can export it directly and use it that way. But because the data is available as a visualization source, you actually have a little bit more flexibility in how you're going to use the data itself. So basically, the way the data is available is that Comet it communicates with gadgets or other applications by using Google's Visualization Source API. And the Visualization Source API allows basically an exchange of table information between clients and servers. And it also adds a query language very similar to SQL that allows you to make selections on the table data that you're interested in. And we're going to use the fact that these are available through visualization sources in order to build our application. So what we're interested in is a particular area, say in Lemon Cove, California, where we're not interested in the weather itself, but we're interested in a water budget for a particular farm. So for this particular farm, we have an irrigation pattern, so we know how much water we've been irrigating, and we also have as inputs the type of crop that we're growing and what the K sub C value of that particular crop is, when the leaves come on and off. And if we take all of that information and we combine it with the weather data that's available through the visualization source, then we can develop a model that sort of tracks the amount of precipitation, whether the plant's growing or not, what the K sub C values are, in order to determine how much water is used every day for this particular farm. And then we can just add those together and develop a cumulative water strategy for that particular area. And we're using a Google visualization source. So if you go back to this input section, you can see that the user is allowed to pick where the farm's located and what particular year or growing season they're interested in. And these parameters are used to fill out the request for the Google visualization, which is available here. And so you can see we take a selection pattern for a particular area and date, and then we can develop that to download the data. So if you look at the input section of this spreadsheet, what you'll see is that in order to get all of the data from the visualization source, it's a simple call using the import data function for the Google spreadsheet. So what's really cool about this is that these are all live. So once we've developed the spreadsheet, it makes any changes based on any changes to your input parameters. So let's go back to our gadget, and we would say, well, we looked at what the water budget for Lemon Cove, California was, but what if we were looking at the same crop and the same irrigation pattern on the other side of the valley, somewhere, say, around Coalinga? So if we look at here, everything's pretty much stayed the same, except now we're at a new row and column. And we can go back to our spreadsheet and put these new row and column values in. And once we make those changes, we actually download new input parameters, and we can develop a new water budget chart.